organizing the farmers and fisher folk. These were key
Not followed.
components. All of them have pretty much been disregarded, ignored, or completed, or remain incomplete. And that's precisely why I believe it's time to have AgriCom 2. We have an agriculture sector and fisheries sector that's in crisis.
Yes.
None of our very few of our new generation of Filipinos want to go into farming. It's about time we sound the alarm bells and get a no-nonsense evaluation of what we have done right and what we have done wrong in the agri sector.
We are just touching the surface. We're just talking about rice. We have not even agriculture. We've not even talked about fisheries yet.
Exactly.
And in my previous terms, I recall, Mr. President, I had filed the bill for the creation of a Department of Fisheries. I'm not certain if I refiled that because I'm tired of filing and
We have
refiling.
filed it.
If you refiled it,
We have
like, if I
refiled it.
refiled it,
Yes.
yeah, we could probably study that as well. But I respect the current administration's policy of downsizing or right-sizing. So possibly the creation of a new department may not be in order or supported. But even then, with or without that, what is ilan tayo as an archipelago? Is it 30 million? What's our coastline? What is our
It's the fifth largest
Yes, but
in the entire planet.
What's a measurement of our coastline? Is it 30 million?
30.
No, we're 30 million
3,000.
hectares of the Philippine. We're 30 million, 36,000 kilometers in 30 million hectares, right? More or less.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Yes.
And
36.
tama yan. 20% lang ng ating teritoryo. 20% lang ng ating teritoryo ay lupa.
Yes.
80%, 4/5 actually, ay karagatan.
So this, ulitin ko na, this SAFDC is so important because fisheries is part of that. And that's 36,000 kilometers of coastline. Coast pa lang yan.
Yes.
Eh yung ating exclusive economic zone at yung ating inland waters. Ang mga lawa, ang mga ilog, at ating mangrove areas and our wetlands. But Mr. President, I'll go back to the issue of the SAFDCs. It's
Yes.
like having in the environment sector, it's like saying we never declared any protected area because we did not follow the law. But at least in the environment sector, together with the previous chair, Senator Cynthia Villar, we were able to pass more than 100 protected areas all over the country. In this case, the declaration or identification of production areas for food,
Yes.
whether agriculture or fisheries, is not completed. It really shocks me. And I don't know.
We will bring this to the
Yes.
attention of the Department of Agriculture, and
Yes.
we will ask them to explain during our budget debates and give us a timeline as to when they intend to complete this,
Yes, Mr. President.
because they're updating it.
They tell us that it's a useless law and that's the reason why it's not being implemented. If they tell us, hindi po kailangan yan, mali po yung provision na yan, okay, so we accept that. Unless I cannot say, I would not accept incompetence or laziness or ignorance or lack of awareness as an answer.
Yes, in fact, you mentioned fisheries. The Philippines is actually the center of aquamarine biodiversity in the entire planet. Therefore, there is no debate. Our aquamarine resources are so rich. We have 3 tuna belts. Thailand does not have a tuna belt, but they're the #1 exporter of canned tuna. And so we don't know where they're getting their tuna.
I come from a province that has a tuna highway.
Yes.
Because I live in a coastal fishing village and we have tuna there. Invite you there, big tuna for breakfast, lunch, merienda, and dinner, tuna. We
Exactly.
just need processing, canning, bottling.
And that's
all
why
of
we
that.
refiled the Department of Fisheries, because we believe, in fact, you mentioned downsizing,
Right sizing.
right sizing. We can actually explore the merger of the Department of Agriculture and Agrarian Reform
Mhm.
down the,
And fisheries
and
at a
then-
standalone.
and then have fisheries as
The
a standalone.
to elevate the bureau
Yes.
into a department.
In fact,
That's quite
in
interesting.
fact, one of our recommendations after we left the cabinet as a food security secretary was that the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources can actually be placed under the office of the president pending the creation of the department, and give the director of the bureau a cabinet rank. This has been a concern of our fisheries bureau, that when they face international conferences on fisheries rights, negotiations, etc., bureau level lang yung director nila, no? Director level lang yung bureau nila, rather. So that could also be immediately an executive order transferring the BIFAR to the office of the president, giving the head of the BIFAR a rank of or have a rank of cabinet secretary as the head of the bureau, or overseer of the bureau, and then you focus now. They can focus now on the fishery sector. It's a missed opportunity.
Thank you for that. And so far, we're always in agreement with all my questions. As I told you, this is friendly interpellation, and I thank you for
Because when I was in the Senate, you were chairman of the Senate Committee on Agriculture at one point.
Yes,
Yes.
for 3 years, and
Yes.
the reform as well. So I support you in the creation of the AgriCom, just like the EdCom 2, there's a proposal to extend the life of the Educational Committee. So
Thank you.
I would
Madam
join you in a majority-minority resolution for the creation of the AgriCom, because food insecurity is a national security issue.
Thank you, Madam Senator.
Thank you. We've always talked about the aging farmer crisis, that the agriculture sector, ilang taon ng farmers, 55, 57 years old. I think we both filed, again, similar bills on the Young Farmers and
Yes.
Fisher Folk Challenge Act. And I hope, whether this is enacted into law or not, I'd like to know, how do we make farming more attractive to our young people so that we don't have an aging farming population, fisher folks as well? How do we make it more lucrative so that they don't just always want to work in call centers or go abroad as overseas workers? There's nothing wrong with those careers, but so that we increase the number of people who feed our nation.
Yes, that's a good question, and I've been grappling with that myself for many years. Some people would say, how do you make farming sexy so that the new generation of Filipinos will consider taking a career? Ultimately, I think it's about income. Why will a farmer, the youth of today, choose the agriculture and farming when you're actually asking him or her to take a vow of poverty? So it's a challenge. How do we, and that's why the Sagip-Saka Law, and the long title of the Sagip-Saka Law is Farm Enterprise and Entrepreneurial Development Program. Because we believe to move away from subsistence farming and to move towards farm enterprise development is the way to go, which also includes strengthening the farmers' co-ops so that they can graduate from subsistence farming to farm enterprise management. A clear example of how you can increase incomes for our farmer sector is the Sagip-Saka Law. In 2019, the Camarines Sur Multipurpose Cooperative sold 7 million pesos worth of agri-products. But by 2020, 13 LGUs bought from the Camarines Sur Multipurpose Cooperative rice and other agriculture products during the lockdowns. No public bidding, direct negotiated contract. And before the end of the third quarter, they already sold 62 million pesos worth of agri-products, a 9-fold increase in the revenue. And I would stress, therefore, If a farm enterprise, a co-op, is already selling tens of millions of pesos worth of agri-products annually, or sorry, monthly, then that will be
Very lucrative.
a incentive for our young Filipino farmers to go into farm enterprise management and development. So it's really income. You know, in other countries, Thailand, Vietnam, even China, they benchmark their interventions in the agri sector. One benchmark is increased incomes. You know, China is a communist country. They're not supposed to be concerned about increased incomes. I mean, theoretically, but they benchmark interventions in terms of how much income will be increased. Because precisely they see that unless farming gives you return in terms of incomes, why should they go farming? I remember speaking to the Minister of Agriculture of Vietnam, and they benchmarked a tripling of farmers' income per capita in a 20-year period, from $500 to $1,500. The same with China. When they made a presentation when I was there for a visit, they said in 1979, the farmer's income in China was 160 yuan a month. Today, it's about 6,700 yuan a month. So very clear that unless you benchmark incomes as an indicator of a successful intervention in agriculture, then you will not be able to entice people to go into farming.
Yeah. The national per capita is 11,000
That is
per farmers.
for farmers, it
11,000,
from 7 to 11.
7 to 11.
7 to 11. And the amounts necessary according to PSA to be able to afford, you know, basic necessities is 13,000 a month.
Even 13, I think, is quite low.
Well, yes, given
yeah,
the 64
it-
pesos
yeah.
a day.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the
the-
11,000 is even high compared to the monthly farmer's income in my province. So I really need the DA to be able to help me, and you as well, how to increase the farmer's income. Perhaps it would be around half of the 11,000 national per capita.
And I think
Yeah.
in the DA bureaucracy and the attached agencies of government in the agriculture sector should start benchmarking incomes for every intervention.
Thank you for that. May we also ask from a DA in your office, being the chairman of the Agriculture Committee, aside from what I asked for earlier, the regional benchmarking of agriculture workers' income. Let's say in
Yes.
the island of Panay, I'd like to compare our farmers receiving 5,000 or less compared, let's say, to Iloilo or Aklan.
Yes, we will
Yeah.
work on the figures and the data and
That would be
securing
great to
them.
receive that. And my last question for now, because I will have questions for later,
Yes.
would be on urban farming, which we all advocate, because even in congested informal settler areas, we could solve the problem of hunger if we are able to use all available spaces for vertical farming, vertical gardens, which is already being done by some NGOs. So I believe with your assistance, with your support, we could institutionalize urban gardening and urban farming. There are still vacant government lots in Metro Manila or even in other cities in different regions. If there could be a bill to incentivize and provide limited use of this vacant land, and even equipment and training for vertical gardens in our informal settler areas. Magtanim lang ng alugbati at saka ng talbos ng kamote at kangkong, malunggay, di ba? Ang dali eh. Kung iisipin, kasi ginagawa natin ako sa maliliit na paraan sa aking farm.
Yes.
At napapakain ko ang pamilya ko at mga personal staff, pati ang ibang mga office staff. So kung kaya kong pakainin by my lonesome in a small farm, at least 20 families na nagbuhay ng 20-30 families during the pandemic, I think this can be done in every household that has some little vacant space.
I agree, Madam Chairperson, Madam Senator, Mr. President. Uh, Actually, hunger is more acute in urban centers.
Yes.
Unlike in the rural setting, nandyan yung talbos ng kamote, nandyan lahat, no? Nandyan yung malunggay, nandyan yung kamoteng kahoy, etc. But this is not the case in urban centers. And in fact, there is this debate about hydroponics, for example. Well, my own bias is I'm an organic farmer since 2012. So hydroponics is not organic. But for example, but you can grow it in a controlled environment, free from typhoon, free from pests, etc. And therefore, my sense there is it should balance and complement. In times, for example, that the weather is not cooperative outside, and therefore yields are low in open farms, then to complement that and to stabilize prices, you do have hydroponics and urban gardening, where they are more protected because they have natural wind barriers, your buildings, your homes, and of course, if it's hydroponics, you can actually grow lettuce in a condo inside with LED lights, etc. So pagka bumagsak ang supply dahil sa bagyo, then you have hydroponic supply available to augment, and therefore you're able to stabilize prices. So I see it in that regard. And urban gardening is the same. Hindi self-sufficient in food ang mga urban centers as it is. But with urban gardening and urban support, for vertical farming, then you can reach a level of nutrition, accessibility of affordable food in urban centers. And so we support the effort at propagating even further. I understand the DA has several interventions, both rural and urban. Meron silang gulayan sa paaralan. Over 40,000, I think, are involved in this, both rural and urban. And in urban centers, meron din, ano? Yes. But yes, we're more than willing to look into this. What is the status? How can we even further promote it? And what budgetary support would be necessary?
We have a bill pending in your committee. We would be happy if you could give it some attention, and the other policies that we mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I thank the good sponsor for so willingly giving me information and clarifying the issues. Thank you very much.
I should thank the good senator. She was a more senior to me in the field of agriculture. I just followed her lead. Maraming salamat. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Ligarda. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, last to interpolate or make a manifestation, Senator Robin Hood Padilla. I move that he be recognized.
Senator Robin Hood Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo at sa ating pinunong mayorya. Kung mamarapatin po ng ating kaibigan ng konting katanungan po.
Ay, wala pong problema. We are more than willing to answer the questions in interpellation of Senator Padilla.
Maraming salamat po. Ang katunayan po ay ako po'y sumusuporta sa inyo pong napakagandang talumpati. Yung pong aking manifestasyon ay napakahaba po talaga, pero nakatingin na po sa akin si Senator Bam. Dahil siya po ang susunod, iiklian ko na lang po. Alam niyo po, kanina pong umaga, tayo po ay nakipagpulong sa isang senador ng Amerika. Si Senator Scott ng Florida. At nakita ko rin po na nakipagpulong din po kayo sa US-ASEAN
Yes.
Business Conference. Nandun po kayo. Ito pong pangyayari kanina, nakausap po namin yung senador. Medyo nahirapan din tayo ng konti dahil English ang usapan. Pero maliwanag po sa kanyang sinabi na may pag-asa na tayo ay magkaroon ng kaguluhan talaga. Ang sabi nga po niya sa English, every country is preparing for the chance of conflict.
Mhm.
So ang tanong ko po ngayon, napag-usapan niyo po ba doon sa conference na pinuntahan po ninyo, yung patungkol po sa food security kapag nagkaroon ng tayo ng hidwaan at tayo'y nadamay dahil sinabi din po ng ating mahal na Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr., sinabi din niya tayo daw po ay mag-prepare. Mag-prepare daw po tayo kung sakaling tayo daw po ay mabitbit diyan sa Taiwan conflict. So ang tanong ko po, una, napag-usapan po ba ang tungkol sa food security diyan po sa inyong dinaluhan na conference?
Yes. Magandang tanong yan. Although hindi direktang napag-usapan, may mga bagay na napag-usapan na may kinalaman sa posibleng pagpapalago pa ng ating agrikultura. Yung isang kumpanya ng US-based company ay nagki-clinical trials halimbawa sa African swine fever vaccine. Interesado silang i-introduce ito dahil nga ito ang daing ng ating mga magbababoy na kulang ang mga bakuna, availability ng bakuna. So yun ang isang bagay na napag-usapan. Paano pa palalakasin ang sektor ng livestock? Dahil alam nating mahal ang karning baboy, nag-i-import tayo dahil we are still recovering from the African swine fever na tinamaan ng ating magbababoy. May meron din pinag-usapang indirekta sa usapin naman nitong ilang mga produkto na nais po nilang i-introduce sa ating merkado na may kinalaman din sa pestisido, sa pataba at etc. So ulit, paano palalakasin pa ang sektor ng agrikultura? Nabanggit ko sa kanila na 7 billion lang ang agri-exports ng Pilipinas. At malaking bagay ang investment sa infrastruktura, sa agrikultura, sa financing para mabigyan ng suporta ang sektor ng agrikultura na malaki ang posibilidad na lumaki pa kung mayroong ganitong suporta. Pero sa usapin ng paghahanda sa posibleng disruption ng conflict dito sa West Philippine Sea, hindi nating direktang pinag-usapan yan. Ngunit, ang pagkaintindi ko ay may 35 kumpanya na dumalo nung tayo ay humarap sa kanila kasama ang ating kasamahan sa Kongreso na si Congressman Miro Kimbo. Pero meron pang kasunod na komperensya. Although hindi na ako nakapagpulong doon tungkol naman sa defense, sa mga armamento, na mga kumpanyang nasa security na nag-participate a few days later. Hindi ko alam kung tapos na, pero naririto sila. Pero hindi namin napag-usapan ng direkta itong pagpaplano o kaya paghahanda.
Apo. Maraming salamat
Although
po.
magandang tanong po yun.
Apo.
At kung maaari ko nga sabihin, kaya nga nananawagan ako at sana masuportahan ng ating mabutihing senador mula sa Camarines Norte na suportahan ang ating pagkilala na may krisis sa pagkain, may krisis ang ating sektor ng agrikultura at kinakailangan nating kumilos sa isang agricom at ipasa ang mga batas para maagapan natin at maharap natin ng maayos itong krisis na ito.
Alam niyo po, Ginoong Pangulo, ako po ay masaya sapagkat yung atin pong bagong chairman sa agriculture ay exposed po siya dito sa mga pronouncement ng mga world leaders patungkol po sa kaguluhan. Sapagkat alam niyo po, kapag nagkaroon talaga ng conflict, geographically, medyo mahirap po yung sitwasyon natin dahil alam niyo naman, pag may conflict, laging air and sea blockade ang nangyayari. So, ang gusto ko po lang masigurado sa pamumuno po ninyo ay makapaghanda ang ating gobyerno dahil sabi nga po nung kausap namin, every nation is already preparing. So sana po sa inyong pamumuno, makumbinsi din po natin ang agrikultura natin na mag-prepare na rin po tayo ng sarili nating pagkain para pag dumating po yan. Kung dumating man, wag naman. Wag po tayong sa gutom matalo. Yun lamang po. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Maraming salamat ay Ginoong Senador Padilla. Sabi nga kanina ni Senator Loren Legarda, food security is national security. Hindi maaaring matugunan ang iba pang mga prioridad kung hindi ito bibigyan ng importansya. In fact, nung kami ay bumisita at nagkaroon ng exposure dito sa China tungkol nga sa agriculture, top sa agenda ng Communist Party ng China every 2 years pag sila ay nagpupulong ng National Congress nila, number 1 o number 2 sa agenda ay agriculture. At nung tinanong ko bakit, sabi niya, pagka hindi natutukan ang agrikultura, we will, at ang food, sabi niya, we will be many Chinas. Ibig sabihin, magkakawatak-watak sila. So talagang mahalaga ang food security at paghahanda. Maraming salamat at magandang hapon. Thank you, Senator Padilla. Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you for this opportunity. May we request that the privilege speech and the interpellation be referred to the Committee on Agriculture.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, but before we refer the said privilege speech, I'd just like to thank Senator Pangilinan. Also, with my small contribution, Mr. President, being the principal author of the RA 12022 or the Anti-Agriculture Economic Sabotage, and also the previous to the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Law. We're hoping that with the resident agriculturists back in the Senate, that we will be able to really implement properly these laws. Sana naman po ay may mahuli na talaga ring smuggler at hoarder, no? Para po may ayos din natin ang ating sektor ng agrikultura. Mr. President, I move that we refer the privilege speech of Senator Pangilinan in all the interpellations and manifestations there to the Committee on Agriculture, Food, and Agrarian Reform. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, the privileged speech of Senator Pangilinan is hereby referred to the Committee on Agriculture.
Mr. President, Senator Bamakini would like to deliver a privilege speech. I move that he be recognized.
Senator Bamakina is recognized. Deliver his privileged speech.
Maraming salamat, Mr. President. Magandang gabi sa ating lahat, sa mga kasama ho natin dito sa Senado, mga kababayan at kapwa ko Pilipino. Karangalan ko po na pag-usapan ang kasalukuyang kakulangan ng libreng internet connection sa pampublikong lugar, lalo na po sa ating mga paaralan. Noong 2017, pinasa po natin ang Free Internet Access in Public Places Act o Republic Act 10929. Sigurado po ako na lahat tayo ay sasang-ayon na napakahalaga ng internet connection ngayon po sa ating mga buhay. Isa na siyang pangailangan sa ating pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. Hindi lang po ito para makausap ang ating pamilya at kaibigan, ginagamit din po para makahanap ng trabaho, magsimula o magpalago ng negosyo at pakikipagtransaksyon sa gobyerno. At ngayong panahon ng tag-ulan, bagyo at baha, kailangan na kailangan ng internet connection para makakuha ng pinakabagong balita at update upang maging ligtas sa panahon ng sakuna. Alam po natin na sa panahon ngayon, napakalaki ng gastusin ng pamilyang Pilipino. Kasama po sa pinagkakasyang budget ng pamilyang Pilipino ang presyo ng koneksyon sa internet. Maging wired or wireless broadband o mobile data man yan, naglalaan po tayo ng pera para makakonekta sa internet. Ayon po sa National Information and Communications Technology Household Survey, noong 2024, ang pangkaraniwang gastos ng isang pamilyang Pilipino ay 1,069 pesos and 10 centavos bawat buwan sa koneksyon sa internet. Nakita din po sa survey na ito na ang pinakakaraniwang hadlang sa karamihang pamilyang walang koneksyon sa internet ay ang mataas na presyo. Sa ASEAN po, pangatlo sa huli ang Pilipinas sa internet affordability ayon sa Mobile Connectivity Index ng GSMA. Ibig sabihin po nito, bukod pa sa may issue na tayo sa bilis at lawak ng nasasagap, napakamahal pa po ng internet sa Pilipinas. Sa kasalukuyan, around 20 million Filipinos still cannot afford regular internet access. At marami po sa ating kababayan ay nakakakonek sa internet gamit ang piso Wi-Fi. Pero tulad po ng iba't ibang mga tingi-tingin bibilihin, mas malaki ang gastos po sa dulo. Ang masakit pa po dito, kadalasan mahina ang internet connection dahil marami po ang gumagamit at posible din na hindi din reliable ang network sa iba't ibang mga lugar. Nakasanayan na po natin ang kakulangan, kaya madiskarte po ang Pilipino. Kaya uso ang tingi-tingi. Pero sa totoo lang mga kasama, 2025 na po at mag-iisang dekada na mula pinasa ang RA 10929 or Free Internet Access in Public Places Act. Mahalaga din po ang internet connection para sa mga Pilipinong mag-aaral at sa ating mga kabataan. Ang access sa internet ay access din po sa kaalaman. Napag-usapan ko na po nung nakaraang privilege speech kung gaano kahalaga ang internet sa ating mga paaralan, kung paano to makakatulong sa research, sa homework, sa karagdagang edukasyon. At pag naipasa na rin po ang e-textbook para sa lahat act, sa unang araw ng klase pa lang, kung may free wifi, lahat ng estudyanteng may access, lahat ng estudyante ay may access sa learning material dahil ang textbook po nila ay marahil late pa rin. Pero base po sa ating konsultasyon, karamihan ng paaralan na may libreng wifi ngayon ay kulang pa rin sa bandwidth at coverage. Hindi po reliable ang internet connection dahil nawawala-wala at mabagal. At sa ilang lugar po na nakausap namin, halos ang ilang guro lang ang nakakagamit. Last week po, galing kaming Aklan kung saan nalaman namin na sa ibang mga paaralan doon, may free wifi nga mula sa DICT, pero dahil sobrang bagal ng free wifi na galing po sa DICT, kailangan pa rin nilang bumili ng sariling connection gamit ang kanilang school maintenance and other operating expenses or MOOE. Yung MOOE po na to napakahalaga dahil ginagamit po ito sa iba't ibang gastusin tulad ng repair, teaching materials at iba pang mga gamit sa classroom. Sipin niyo po, nakikihati pa ang gastos sa internet sa dapat ay libre na dahil po sa batas na naipasa natin. Mr. President, ayon sa DepEd, 12,000 pong paaralan ang wala pang koneksyon sa internet. Sa ating pong Komite on Science and Technology, malalaman po natin kung ano ba ang plano para punan to at kung tama ang numerong ito. Para sa mga estudyanteng walang connection sa bahay, karagdagang problema at gastos pa po sa kanila at sa kanilang magulang itong pagkukulang ng internet sa kanilang eskwelahan. Uulitin ko po, mahalaga at napakahalaga ng internet connection sa ating mga paaralan. 2025 na po at hindi na pwedeng offline ang bayan at ang ating mga kabataan. Nung SONA po, sinabing prioridad ng Presidente ang full implementation ng Free Wi-Fi Law. At kasama po doon ang focus ng Free Wi-Fi sa ating mga paaralan. At napag-usapan din po namin ni Secretary Aguda ng DICT ang mga ilang kailangang gawin para masigurong maitupad ang batas at mabantayan natin ang implementasyon nito. Mahalaga po ngayon, nagampanan ng Committee on Science and Technology ang kanyang oversight function at makita po kung saan napupunta ang perang nakalaan sa Free Wi-Fi Law. Mula 2018 hanggang 2024, halos 18 billion pesos na po ang total obligation or committed amount to be spent para po sa Free Wi-Fi Law. At ayon po sa DICT, as of March 2025, almost 18,000 pa lamang ang activated sites. Sa 18,000 po na ito, 2,950 sites ang nasa pampublikong paaralan. Malalaman po natin ang mga numerong ito, mahihimay po natin to at malalaman natin ang proseso ng DepEd at DICT pati na rin ang mga balakid sa pagpapatayo ng free Wi-Fi sites sa ating mga paaralan. Ang pangunahing tanong, kailan po natin makukumpleto ang pag-connect ng mga public schools natin sa internet? 8 years na po ang batas ng Free Wi-Fi in Public Places Act. Sana naman po ngayong 2025 maging ganap na po ang implementasyon nito. Kitang-kita po natin na malayo pa tayo sa pangako ng ating batas. Noong 2018, ang target po ng DICT ay magpatayo ng 250,000 Wi-Fi access points sa iba't ibang pampublikong lugar sa bansa hanggang 2022. Pero sa totoo po, hindi rin ho namin alam kung saan galing yung target na 250,000 Wi-Fi access points po noon. Kasi po nagkaroon ng statement noong 2022 na yung target ay ngayon 104,000 na lang. From 250,000, naging 104,000 na lang po yung target. Ngayon naman po, ang target ay 30,000 na lang. Hindi po klaro ang datos kung paano po bumaba ang 250,000 na target, naging 104,000, naging 30,000 po. Sa ngayon po, may tanong rin tayo tungkol sa definition ng site at ang tunay na access. Kahit po yung site at access, kailangan po nating malaman ano nga ba ang definisyon ng ating gobyerno. Wala pa po dito ang diskusyon ng reliability, speed, at maintenance ng mga natayunang free Wi-Fi sites. Sisiguraduhin po natin at hihimayin po natin ang mga detalye sa mga susunod na hearing at oversight. Mr. President, sa bawat dumadaang henerasyon, may nadidiskubre po tayong mga panibagong paraan ng pagbibigay ng impormasyon. Mula po sa dyaryo, radyo, telebisyon, at sa nakalipas sa 20 taon ang internet. Ang batas para sa free Wi-Fi ay nandyan hindi lang po dahil gusto nating makitrending sa TikTok. Kailangan na po siya dahil bahagi na ito ng pang-araw-araw nating pamumuhay. Access to the internet in 2025 is a necessity, not just a pastime. At ang hangad po natin para po sa ating bansa ay may libre o abot-kaya, malawak at mabilis na internet para sa bawat Pilipino, especially po para sa ating mga guro at estudyante. Maraming salamat, Mr. President, at maraming salamat sa lahat ng ating mga kasama. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Aquino. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, Senator Robin Hood Padilla is seeking the floor. I move that he be recognized.
Senator Robin Hood Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo, at sa ating pinunong mayorya. Gusto ko po lang magpahayag ng aking 100% na suporta kay Senator Bam Aquino upang matiyak po ang maayos na pagpapatupad ng free Wi-Fi law. Sa panahon ngayon po, ang internet ay isa na ring pangangailangan, lalo na para sa ating mga kabataan na umaasa rito para sa kanilang edukasyon. Ang libreng access sa internet sa mga pampublikong paaralan, tanggapan at iba pa ay tunay na makakatulong sa paghubog ng mas maalam at mas handa at mas produktibong mamamayan. Gayunpaman, nais ko pong bigyan diin ang ating hangarin na magkaroon ng mekanismo upang masiguro ang safe, secure at age-appropriate na paggamit ng internet ng ating mamamayan. Yun lamang po, maraming salamat. Mabuhay po kayo, Senator Bam.
Maraming salamat, Senator Padilla.
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, Senator Aquino.
Yes, unang-una nais po natin magpasalamat sa ating kaibigan at kasama po sa mga iba't ibang mga advokasya, si Senator Padilla. Hindi ko po nakakalimutan, Mr. President, ang pahayag ni Senator Padilla na huwag kalimutan ang kalikasan, huwag kalimutan ang pagkaugat natin sa kalikasan at sa lupa, no? Palagay ko naman po yung pagkakaroon ng libreng internet access at pagkakaroon ng mga programa patungkol po sa agrikultura at sa kalikasan ay hindi naman po kailangan magkalaban. Pwede po silang magkasama. And rest assured, Mr. President, during the hearing, malalaman rin natin na ano yung parental controls sa ating mga free Wi-Fi sites. Actually, Mr. President, nung binubuo po natin yung batas na ito, naibanggit na to at kung di ako nagkakamali, nasa batas rin naman na kailangan na wala pong pornografiya, wala pong scam, wala pong masasamang bagay doon po sa libreng Wi-Fi ng gobyerno. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. President, nandun po yun sa batas mismo. No? Kung hindi po, we will make sure, Mr. President, sa ating oversight hearing na may papaalala po natin yan sa mga tamang mga ahensya po na nagpapatupad ng batas po na ito. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Magdagdag lang po ako. Tama po yung sinabi ni Senator Bam, no? Sa internet po, marami dyan tungkol sa agrikultura na pwedeng makita din ng mga bata. Katunayan yung Amish, alam niyo po yung Amish sa Amerika. Yung mga, ang ganda po ng kanilang, meron po silang website. Meron din po silang Facebook account. Marami pong matututunan ang mga bata dito tungkol sa agrikultura.
Yes, Mr. President, pagdating po kasi sa internet, no, napakalawak po ng mga kaalaman dyan. Pero alam rin natin, may mga mali. May
Marami.
fake, may nakakasama, may nakakalala pa. At tama po si Senator Padilla, mahalaga na yung safeguard at yung safety protocol nandyan po, no? Palagi ko naman po, Mr. President, from the beginning, nandun na yun eh. So I think hindi po naging issue yung safety. Ang issue po ngayon talaga yung kalawakan tsaka yung kabilisan ng mga available free internet access sites po. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Padilla. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, Senator Lauren Legarda is seeking the floor.
Senator Legarda is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to associate myself with the thoughts and the speech of the good sponsor, the chairman of the Committee on Basic Education, and it is very timely because yes, knowledge is power, and especially with the problem and the issue of functional illiteracy and the challenges facing our children of today. So I'm one with you in ensuring that this law, when was this law enacted?
2018, Mr.
17,
President.
18. You were here in the Senate
Yes.
then, yes. You were the principal.
I was the principal sponsor, Mr.
Yes.
President, and the lady was the chairman of finance who funded the first year of the implementation of this law.
Yes, I recall now that this law was enacted, or did we fund the SUC's free Wi-Fi almost at the same time, or even while we were still discussing this? Because I recall it was 2016 or 17 when we had all the more than 100 or maybe selected state universities and colleges to have free Wi-Fi, and they were so excited at the time. At the same time, when we were discussing this law, which you mentioned today.
Yes, Mr. President, during that time, napasa po natin yung free college na pondohan at nagamit ko kaagad, no? Naramdaman kaagad ng mga kabataan. Ito pong free wifi, unfortunately, napondohan po natin, pero yung implementasyon ay napakabagal pa rin, no? It's been 8 years,
Yes.
we've spent over 18 billion at hindi pa rin po natin matukoy kung nasaan po yung mga free Wi-Fi sites. Now, to be fair po to DICT, meron naman pong mga lugar na nakapag-implement po sila. But
Limited.
definitely, malayo pa po ito dun sa pangarap ng batas na lahat ng mga pampublikong lugar ay magkakaroon po ng libreng internet po para sa ating mga kababayan.
You're very correct, because now I get it. It's only, I think, 50 of the more than 100 state universities and college were funded at a time due to limited fiscal space. So, but then there's no reason now. It's 2025. So this was enacted in 2018. You're back in the Senate now, and it's just the same SUCs, or maybe they stopped because maybe the funding was only for that fiscal year.
Mr. President, hindi lang po ito SUCs. We're talking also about public
All
schools.
public schools.
Yes, so pati po
DepEd.
K-12, elementary and high school are
Yes.
included here, no? Also included are city hall, barangay hall, airports,
Health areas,
public health
hospitals.
areas.
Yes.
In fairness, Mr. President, yung mga airport, in fact, people say mabilis yung internet sa airport, di ba? So, okay po yan. Pero pagdating po sa mga city halls, terminals, and our public
That's
schools,
very
which
important.
terribly need internet
Yes,
access,
yes.
yun po yung medyo kulang-kulang pa. At maganda pong malaman rin natin ano ba yung mga obstacles
Yes.
para magawan po natin ng paraan.
Tuwan-tuwa ako na binigay niyo to ng atensyon, dahil kung maari kong sabihin, ang aking probinsya, kung saan kayo bumisita lang ng isang araw, ay challenged in so far as connectivity is concerned, because bundok, iba naman karagatan. Ang ginawa ko po, yung nagkaroon ng Starlink, if I
Yes.
may mention this. I'm not an endorser or owner of this brand, pero ako'y naniwala nung dumating yung Starlink, nakita ko, nagkaroon ng isang lugar sa Siargao, nakalagay, Starlink has landed. Hinanap ko kaagad kung saan yung bumibili nun, bumili akong personal at nag-donate po ako ng iilan sa mga gida areas na eskwelahan sa Antique. Tuwan-tuwa sila, parang talagang, para silang nakapunta ng Disneyland nung nakita nilang meron silang connectivity, because wala talagang connectivity sa mga bundok na yon. And these are around maybe a dozen schools. Of course, I could not do it for personal resources all the time. And then I made an amendment in the ICT budget where at least 70 million was allocated for what you call satellite technology, which is Starlink and not the VSAT, which is what you call that. That's not VSAT is that's another name. What is VSAT? But another technology. It's the technology now. But so we were able to do that, and I'm happy to state to the chairman of the agriculture to education committee that 70 million worth of satellite technology sites in schools in Antique was already installed. Pero kulang pa rin. How about other areas? What if the congressman or the senators do not put there? Wala na lang.
Yes.
But under your law, this law, ay dapat lahat talaga ng eskwelahan.
Yes.
DepEd, SUC, hospital,
Terminal sports.
terminals.
Mr. President, if I may, when I spoke to Secretary Aguda, he was very, very bullish, no, and excited about the Starlink partnership.
Yes.
So kung di po ako nagkakamali, magkakaroon ng partnership ang Philippine government at ang Starlink para we can purchase at less than commercial rates.
Yes.
No, mahalaga po ito kasi yung ating mga eskwelahan, the principals, they actually subscribe to commercial rates, no? So whether Globe yan o PLDT o Converge, ang nakukuha po nilang rate ay like any other business. Kung tutuusin po, kung programa po ito ng gobyerno, we should be able to get lower rates because we're the government, we're buying in bulk, and there's a huge allocation, no? So we're hoping po that this partnership with Starlink can link up our GIDA areas. And the Secretary of DICT, of course, will be seeing him in the hearing. Nabanggit rin po niya na meron silang module na solar, no? So solar with Starlink, some of these schools aren't connected to the grid.
Yes.
At least, even if they're still not connected to the grid, meron pa rin paraan na magkaroon ng internet access. Now, when I visited Aklan, no, before I visited Antique, Madam President, nakita ko po doon na sa mga public school, na talaga, gamit-gamit talaga siya ng mga guro. When they teach and they want to show a video about whatever subject matter, ang go-to po nila is a website of DepEd, or they look for their own materials, they show the video, sometimes they get it from YouTube or from educational sites. Yung mga paraan ng pagbibigay ng quiz or interactive materials, many of it is still basically dependent on an internet connection. Ako po kasi, Mr. President, no, ako nasa eskwelahan pa, overhead projector pa kami, if you remember, di ba? And I know that it's not a replacement for books. We still want our books to get to our students. Pero as a learning tool, napakalaking bagay niya po niya for teachers and students. That's why we really want to see this law implemented. It's already passed. Nandito na po ito. May 18 billion na tayo na gastos. Alamin naman ho natin saan napunta yung pera at kung paano po tayo makakausad.
I am one with you first in knowing why there is a slow implementation of the law. Is it just funding or something else? Second, yes, I'd like to know also where the 18 billion went and how much would it cost for all DepEd schools and SUCs and ports, airports and terminals, bus terminals and public hospitals at least to be, and town plazas.
Yes,
Yes.
parks, town plazas and parks.
Yeah, plazas and parks. So thank you so much. And if I may just put on record, ako po yung principal author at the time ng DICT law, creating the DICT department, I think.
Of Information Communications
Yes,
Technology.
yes, in my second term. So just happy to see how the department has grown, although there are challenges because it's quite a new department as well. But thank you to the good sponsor for bringing this to our attention. And during the public hearing for our for finance, I'd like to join you to see, and I think we have quite a good head of the DICT. He's
Yes.
knowledgeable in terms of technology, at least in the call he made in my office some time back. And I'd like to see how he can implement the law 8 years after.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Lauren, Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I would like to refer the privileged speech of Senator Bamakini and all the interpolations and manifestation thereon to the Committee on Science and Technology. So move, Mr. President.
In objection, there being none, the privileged speech of Senator Aquino is hereby referred to the Committee on Science and Technology.
Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 9th session, Wednesday, August 13, 2020, and consider the same as approved.
There an objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, August 19, 2025.
There an objection? There being none, session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, August 19, 2025.